Welcome to the course. I'm so excited to have you here. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself and how this course is organised and how to get the most from your course. As I mentioned in the promotional video, I'm an English language teacher with a master's degree in education, and I've been teaching for 20 years all over the world, including at International House and the British Council. I've been a Udemy instructor since 2015, and I have over 5,000 students from 140 countries. So I know what works. I know how students learn to speak English really well, and I've put all of this knowledge and experience into this course. I've built this course around short talks that use real-life, natural English. These talks are about topics that often come up in everyday conversation. Each section of the course covers one of these topics. Each section starts with me giving a short talk. Each section finishes with you creating your own short talk. And between these, I help you learn the language you need to make your own talk. Each section follows a step-by-step method, and there are 8 steps in total. First, watch the short introduction to the topic. This will get you thinking about the topic. Next, I give my short talk about the topic. Listen to it carefully. There will be 1 or 2 questions to answer. After that, there's a listening activity. Listen to the talk again and do an activity. It's usually a gap fill. You can either download a worksheet for this activity and print it out, or you can do the online activity on your phone, tablet, or computer. Following this, we will look at the language I used in my talk, and sometimes I will explain some more language to you. And this is language you can use in your own talk. Then there are some activities to help you learn this language. Again, you can either download and print out the worksheet, or you can do the online activity on the companion website. There is also a vocabulary record that you can download, so you can create your own vocabulary booklet for all the language you learn on the course. Then it's your turn. You need to create a talk using the language from the previous lectures. There is a worksheet for this. I tell you what to write about, so you only need to think about the language. Finally, there is an assignment. Here, you write a talk about yourself and upload it to Udemy. I'm not able to look at all of your assignments and give feedback, but you can get feedback from other students on the course. You can also give feedback to other students as well. I have added a model text to help you. This will help you to assess yourself. You can also video yourself giving your talk and upload it to the Facebook group which I have created for the course. There is a link to the Facebook group in the message that you should have received when you signed up for the course. By working through these materials, activities and assignments, you will master the language needed to speak confidently about each topic. Do each lecture in a section in this order. Now, getting the most from your course. As I've just said, each section uses a step-by-step method, so do the lectures in a section in order. You can choose the sections you are most interested in. You do not need to do each section in order. You can do the sections in the order you want. And do the activities. You can either do the activities online on the companion website, or you can download and print out the worksheets, or both. If you have any questions, please send me a message or start a discussion in the Q&A, the question and answer section of the course. And if you have any ideas for new topics, or for other ways to make the course even better, please send me a message. So thanks very much for listening. Now choose a topic and get started. I hope you enjoy the course. In this section of the course, we're going to describe people. In particular, their personality. What are they like? How would you describe your personality? What 3 words would you use to describe your personality? Are you, for example, a happy person? Do you like to have fun? Or do you get angry easily? Are you quite a serious person? Are you confident? Are you a positive person? Or do you get sad quite easily? Or are you relaxed and carefree about life? In the next lecture, I'm going to talk about somebody I know. So listen to my talk and answer the questions about it. In this video, I'm going to describe someone I know. I'm going to describe her personality. And while I'm talking, try to answer these 3 questions. Who am I talking about? Do I like her? Would you like her? My girlfriend Katie is several years younger than me, but we've got a lot in common. How would I describe her? Well, first of all, she's really friendly. She has loads of friends, way more than me. She always likes to have lots of fun and hang out with her friends, chatting and going to the shops. She's a bit of a party animal, to be honest. She works as a teacher in a local primary school, the same one that I work at. That's how we met. All the kids say she's very kind and caring, and she always listens to them. She's also extremely hard-working. She often brings work home in the evening and stays up late marking the children's work. But she can be so disorganized. There's always paper and books all over her desk, and sometimes she can't find things. She can be a bit bossy too. I guess teachers have to be, but she often tries to tell me what to do as well. It's not too bad though, as long as I'm patient with her. Did you get the answers? If you didn't get the answers, then listen to the video again. If you did get the answers, then here they are. So, who was I talking about? It was my girlfriend, Katie. Do I like her? Yes. Well, most of the time. She can be a bit bossy sometimes and disorganized, but most of the time, yes. Would you like her? Well, that's up to you, of course. Maybe. I hope so. In the next part of the course, you can listen to my talk again and complete some listening activities. In this lecture, we're going to look at some of the language that I used in my talk. And here's a copy of the transcript of my talk with some language highlighted in yellow. So let's look at some of that language. She's really friendly. She has loads of friends. So a friendly person acts like a friend very quickly, even to people they do not know. So if a friendly person meets a new person, someone they don't know, they are very quickly warm and welcoming, and they act like a friend, and they make friends very easily. She's very kind and caring, and she always listens to them. So here's the school teacher. She's kind and caring to the children. A kind person, someone who is nice to other people. Someone who thinks about other people, is often gentle with them as well. She smiles at them. A kind person often smiles at other people. Caring is very similar. It means they think about other people and maybe they help them as well. She's also extremely hard-working. So, of course, someone who is hard-working works hard, but often works long hours as well, is very professional in what they do. Disorganized. She can be so disorganized. So not organized. Nothing is in the right place. There is chaos. Chaos. Paper everywhere, books everywhere. She can be a bit bossy too. Bossy. A bossy person tells people what to do, but they do it too much. Interestingly, it's often used to describe girls and women if they tell people what to do, rather than boys and men. With men and boys, you might use a word like overbearing. So you normally have bossy girls or bossy women. It's not too bad though, as long as I'm patient with her. Patient. A patient person can put up with problems or things they do not like, but they don't get angry or upset at these things, at these problems. They stay calm. So with my girlfriend, when she's bossy, I do not get angry. I stay calm and quiet. I'm patient. In the next lecture, we will look at some more language that you can use for describing people. In this lecture, we're going to look at some more words for describing people. So far, we've looked at these words: friendly, kind, caring, hardworking, disorganized, bossy, patient. Here are some more words: honest, imaginative, confident, lazy, nervous, shy, boring, rude, organized, selfish. So here's the first word: honest. Honest. Note you don't pronounce the H. There's a silent H at the start of the word honest. Scouts always tell the truth. They're very honest people. They do not lie. They tell the truth. Imaginative. Imaginative. Children are usually very imaginative. They have lots of ideas, lots of dreams in their head. They can make stories up. J.K. Rowling is a very imaginative writer. She wrote the Harry Potter books, of course. Confident. Confident. She is confident in everything she does. Lazy. Lazy. My cat is so lazy. She's so lazy. She sleeps all day. Nervous. Nervous. My sister is always worrying about things. She's a very nervous person. And also, many people are nervous about flying. They're worried the plane will crash. Shy. Shy. He is painfully shy. Shy means you're not outgoing, you don't make friends easily. Boring. Boring. The lecture was very boring. And bored. The student was very bored. She was in a boring lecture. The lecture was boring. The student was bored. Note the difference between the two words, boring and bored. The girl on the left, she's talking. She's boring. And the girl next to her is bored. Rude. Rude. Some drivers can be very rude. So you say bad words. You show anger very easily. You're not nice to other people. Organized. Organized. She is a very organized person. Everything is always in the right place. Selfish. Selfish. He only thinks about himself. He's so selfish. So he doesn't think about other people. So there you have some more words for describing people. And you can use these words when you do your activities at the end of this section. But now, go to the next lecture, and there are some activities to help you remember all these words. So let's go through the answers to the vocabulary activities. And the first activity is the positive or negative. So, rude, is that positive or negative? It's negative. Organized is positive. Selfish, negative. Lazy is negative. Caring is a positive characteristic, as is imaginative. Boring is negative. Confident is positive. Bossy is negative, often used to describe someone who tells people what to do too much. Kind is positive. Disorganized is negative. Patient is positive. Nervous is negative. Shy. Shy could be positive or negative. Normally it's negative, but it depends on the context. Sometimes, for example, a shy girl might be seen as a positive thing or just as a neutral thing. Honest is a positive characteristic. Hardworking is positive. And the opposites activity. So friendly is, you could have shy. Unfriendly is another opposite. Kind. Unkind. You could also have selfish. So selfish is the opposite of kind. For hardworking, lazy. Disorganized, organized, honest, dishonest, imaginative, unimaginative, confident, nervous is the opposite, boring. Possibly the best opposite for boring is fun. Rude is polite. And the opposite of patient is impatient. So not unpatient, but impatient. Selfish, unselfish. And the opposite of positive is negative. You can also now download the vocabulary record PDF and print it out. And there are actually 4 sheets in this particular activity. So what you have to do is you can see the words on the left of the screen. You can make a translation of that into your own language. You can draw a picture to help you remember the word. And then, very important, try to write a sentence that uses the word as well. So do that, and then in the next part of the course, in the next lecture, there is a language production activity for you to do. It's your turn now to produce some language. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about holidays, especially your last holiday. So, how was your holiday? Where did you go? Did you go to the beach? Or maybe you spent time in a city? Did you go outdoors into the countryside? Or maybe on your last holiday you did some adventure sports or outdoor sports like skiing. In my country, lots of people go to London for their holidays. What are the most popular holiday destinations in your country? On my last holiday, I went to an island in Thailand called Koh Lanta. It was a wonderful holiday. And in the next lecture, I will tell you all about it. On my last holiday, I went to an island in Thailand called Koh Lanta. I went there for a week with some friends. I had a lot of fun there. The weather was lovely. It was hot and sunny every day. In fact, it was a little too hot, so we spent a lot of time in the swimming pool. The hotel was excellent. It was a 4-star hotel, and it was next to a long, wide beach, which was covered in white sand. It had 3 swimming pools and a fantastic gym. I had a huge balcony as well, with an amazing view out over the sea. To be honest, the food at the hotel wasn't great, but there were lots of nice restaurants nearby, and they all cooked delicious seafood dishes. There were also some nice bars next to the beach. Every evening, we watched the sun go down over the sea while drinking a cold beer. It was so relaxing. One day, we took a boat trip to a tiny island about 1 hour away. The boat trip was okay. The sea was calm and beautiful, but I felt a little seasick. When we got to the island, we saw lots of colourful birds. We spent all day on the island, and we took the boat back at sunset. The sunset over the sea was absolutely breathtaking. So yeah, it was a wonderful holiday. So did you get the answers to my questions? So did I have a good holiday? Yes, of course, it was wonderful. The only problem was the food at the hotel and the feeling seasick on the boat trip, but otherwise it was great. How do you know I had a good holiday? Well, things like it was fun, lovely weather, excellent hotel, relaxing, wonderful as well. In the next lecture, you can listen to my talk again and you can complete a listening activity. In this lecture, we're going to look at the language I used in my talk. So here is the script that I use, my mini script. So I had a lot of fun there. Fun. When you enjoy yourself, when you have a good time, you have fun. Like when you play games, you have fun. Not the same as funny. Funny is different. Funny is when you have fun, but you laugh as well. So they are different words. The weather was lovely. Lovely weather often means warm and sunny and calm, peaceful weather. Not too hot, not too cold. It was hot and sunny every day. Hot and sunny. The hotel was excellent. Excellent. Really good. Very good. First class. A long, wide beach. Long, wide. Covered in white sand. White sand, white sand. Note the difference in pronunciation between wide and white. Wide, white. A fantastic gym. Fantastic. It's really good. Excellent. A huge balcony. Huge. Huge. Really big. Enormous. And the balcony, of course, had an amazing view. Amazing. Something that is amazing makes you go, wow. It amazes you. The food at the hotel wasn't great. Great wasn't great. So it doesn't mean it's really bad, but it was okay. But it wasn't amazing, it wasn't excellent, it wasn't good. It wasn't great. Lots of nice restaurants. Nice. Nice is a very general word. Lots of things can be nice. The weather can be nice. A hotel can be nice. Food can be nice. A place can be nice. So it's used a lot in English by native speakers. Delicious seafood dishes. Delicious. Delicious. It means tasty. Tastes good. It was so relaxing. It was so relaxing. Here's the cat relaxing. So I was relaxed. The holiday was relaxing. I felt good and happy. The boat trip was okay. Okay. In this sense, okay means not great, not good, not bad, somewhere in between. It was okay. The sea was calm. Calm. So the sea was quiet, very still. I felt a little seasick. Seasick. Oh dear. So I felt ill. because the boat was moving from side to side on the water, so I felt ill. I felt seasick, a little seasick, not very seasick, but just a little bit. Absolutely breathtaking. Breathtaking. It's like amazing. You go, wow, but it takes your breath away. You don't breathe because you're so amazed. It's stronger than amazing. You can't breathe. You're looking at the sun. It was a wonderful holiday. Wonderful. Stronger than excellent, I think. And it suggests you feel really good about it. It makes you feel really good. Wonderful. So go to the next lecture and you'll find an activity which will help you remember these words. So let's go through the answers to the vocabulary activity. And you had to categorize these words as I used them in the text. So wonderful was an activity. It was the holiday. Wonderful holiday. Amazing. I described an amazing view. So that's scenery. Nice. That was the restaurants. Wide for the beach. Beautiful is for scenery. White for the sand on the beach. Okay, that was the boat trip. Seasick, that was on the boat trip as well, although it really describes me more than the activity. Fantastic was the gym. Huge, another place. Excellent, that was the hotel. Lovely weather. Delicious food. And relaxing, the holiday was relaxing. Drinking beer on the beach was relaxing. The beach was long. Food, well, it actually wasn't great, but it describes the food. Fun for the holiday. Hot weather. Calm, I think is best for this. Describing the sea, the scenery, what the sea looked like. Sunny is the weather. And breathtaking was the scenery. Now it's your turn. Go to the next lecture where there is an article which describes what you have to do and some documents so you can create your own mini script. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about jobs. So do you have a job? In particular, we're going to talk about what you do in your job and if you like your job. Maybe you attend lots of meetings in your job. Do you like meetings? Perhaps you have to make lots of photocopies in your job or send and read lots of emails. Do you have to attend training sessions? Or do you deliver training sessions in your job? Do you spend lots of time on the phone speaking to people? Do you do some of your work online or from home on a laptop? In the next lecture, I'm going to tell you about my job. Well, it's not really my job, but it's a good example of what to talk about when you're talking about your job. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about a job. And while I'm talking, try to answer these two questions. What kind of job is it? What kind of job do I have? And do I like my job? I'm an office assistant in the sales department of a large technology company. First thing in the morning, I read my email and reply to some messages. My manager often asks me to make some photocopies or do some filing. We usually have a small meeting at 10 a.m. where we discuss our projects and talk about any problems we have. After that, I usually work with one of my colleagues on a project. At the moment, we are working on an ad campaign for one of our products. I have to collect all the data about this campaign so that I can write a report about it for the sales director. She needs it by the end of the week, so I'm very busy. In the afternoon, I usually write some emails, and sometimes I attend meetings with customers. On Thursday afternoons, we always have a training workshop. It's usually really boring. I work from 8:30 to 5 p.m. every day, with an hour for lunch at noon. It's not a very exciting job, and the pay isn't very good, but it's a nice place to work because all of my colleagues are very friendly, and my manager is very supportive too. So, did you get the answers to the questions? What kind of job is it? Well, it's an office job. I'm an office assistant. And do I like my job? Well, not really. It's boring, but, the people are nice, so I guess it's okay. In the next lecture, there is a listening activity for you. In this lecture, we're going to look at some of the language from my talk. Here's my talk, and this is the language we're going to look at. This is language for describing the things we do at work. So, for example, I read my email. I read my email. I reply to some messages. I reply to some messages. In other words, I answer them. Make some photocopies. I make some photocopies. Photocopies. Do some filing. I do some filing. Here's some filing, lots of files. Filing. Have a small meeting. Have a small meeting. We discuss our projects. We discuss our projects. Projects. So a project is a big task, might take several weeks to do. Talk about problems. Talk about problems. She has a big problem. She needs help. Work with one of my colleagues. Work with one of my colleagues. So we're working together. Another word for colleagues is co-worker. So I could say, I work with one of my co-workers. Working on an ad campaign. Working on an ad campaign. Ad is short for advert or advertisement. So we might be making a Facebook advert, a Facebook ad. I have to collect all the data. I have to collect all the data. So we collect data, information, numbers. I can write a report. I can write a report. So I take all the numbers, I take the data, and write about them in a report. Report. Write some emails. Write some emails. I attend meetings. I attend meetings. So it means I go to meetings. I have meetings. Have a training workshop. Have a training workshop. Or we could say have training. Have training. Training is uncountable, so we never say trainings. It's always training. Have training. Have a training workshop. So that's some language for describing tasks that we might do at work. If you go to the next lecture, you'll find an activity to help you remember these phrases and also to help you learn some new ones. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about things we like or dislike. For example, what food do you like? Do you like Italian food? I love Italian food. Do you like going window shopping? Personally, I hate it. Do you like clowns? Do you like flying? Do you like airports? What about travelling? Do you enjoy travelling or do you prefer to stay at home? Do you like to spend time in the countryside? Do you like hiking? What about movies? Do you enjoy watching movies? Who are your favourite actors and actresses? What kind of clothes do you like? Are you interested in fashion? And what about sports? Do you enjoy watching sport or playing sport? Do you like watching football? What team do you like? Real Madrid? In the next lecture, I'm going to tell you all about my likes and dislikes, so listen to that and try to answer the questions. In this video, I'm going to talk about my likes and dislikes. While I'm reading, listen and try to work out what topics I talk about. So do I talk about fashion, shopping, outdoor activities, music, books, travel, food, or movies? Which ones do I talk about? In my free time, I like reading books, especially non-fiction books. I love reading books about science and history, but I don't really like fiction books, stories. I find them a bit boring, to be honest. But my favourite book of all is fictional. It's called The Hobbit. I absolutely adored this book when I was a child. I was crazy about it. I must have read it 100 times. I also love to get into the countryside. I enjoy the fresh air and the peace and quiet. I dislike city noise like motorbikes and cars, so I try to go hiking whenever I can, and I'm also really keen on cycling. I hate shopping. I absolutely loathe it. I get so bored when my girlfriend takes me shopping. Unless, of course, it's an electronics store. I don't mind that. What about food? Well, I really like Indian food, especially curries. I don't like really spicy curries. I much prefer mild curries with bread and rice. I quite like Italian food, especially pasta, and I'm quite partial to Spanish food as well. I don't mind Thai food as long as it's not too spicy. I can't stand spicy food. Oh, and I detest fish The smell of it makes me feel sick. So did you get the answers? If you didn't, then listen to this video again. And if you did get the answers, well, here they are. So what topics did I talk about? I talked about books, first of all, outdoor activities like hiking and cycling. I talked about shopping, and I talked about food. In the next lecture, you can do a listening activity. You can download the activity and the MP3 of my talk as well. In this video, we're going to look at some of the language that I used in my talk to talk about likes and dislikes. So here is the script of my talk, and we're going to look at the words and phrases in yellow. So the words in yellow, the phrases in yellow, are all about talking about likes and dislikes. I like reading books. I like reading books. I love reading books. I love reading books. I don't really like fiction books. I don't really like fiction books. I absolutely adored this book. This is a really strong piece of language. Absolutely adore. I was crazy about it. I was crazy about it. I also love to get into the countryside. I also love to get into the countryside. I enjoy the fresh air. I enjoy the fresh air. Enjoy. I dislike city noise. I dislike city noise. I'm also really keen on cycling. I'm also really keen on cycling. So if you're keen on something, then you like to do it. I hate shopping. I hate shopping. I absolutely loathe it. I absolutely loathe it. So loathe again is very strong. Absolutely loathe. Loathe. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. So it's okay. It's just about okay. It's a positive thing. I really like Indian food. I really like Indian food. So really like. I don't like really spicy curries. I don't like really spicy curries. So the word really goes with spicy, really spicy, very spicy. In the previous example, really went with the verb. I much prefer mild curries. I much prefer mild curries. Prefer is when you're comparing things. So I like mild curries more than spicy curries. I much prefer. I quite like Italian food. I quite like Italian food. Quite like. I'm quite partial to Spanish food. I'm quite partial to Spanish food. Means I like it a little bit. Not strong, but a little bit. I don't mind Thai food. I don't mind Thai food. So Thai food is okay. And finally, I can't stand spicy food. I can't stand spicy food. Can't stand. So I really dislike it. There is another one actually. One final one. I detest fish. I detest fish. Makes me feel sick. Now, go to the next lecture where there is an activity to help you remember these words. So let's look at the answers to the vocabulary activity. And first of all, let's look at the likes language. So I think the strongest here is I adore. It's a very strong piece of language. And I'm crazy about comes next. I love. I love. So a little bit less strong than I adore. And in the middle, I like, I enjoy. I would say they're about the same strength. There is a difference between the two. You can say, I like pizza, but you don't say, I enjoy pizza. You enjoy doing things. You enjoy activities. So I enjoy playing football. I enjoy cycling. Even I enjoy eating. And you can say, I like eating, I like playing football as well. But I enjoy is more for activities. And down at the bottom, I think the least strong is I don't mind. I don't mind pizza, for example. I'm partial to is a little bit stronger. And I'm fond of and I'm keen on are again very similar as well. I'm keen on is similar to I enjoy. It's more for activities. So I'm keen on cycling. You probably wouldn't say I'm keen on ice cream. You would say I'm fond of ice cream. And for the dislikes, the strongest here is I loathe and I detest. These are both very, very strong verbs. I detest, I loathe. I can't stand is a little bit weaker than those other two, but it's still a very strong verb. And I hate is very strong as well. At the bottom end, I don't really like is quite a weak dislike. I don't really like ice cream. And I don't like is stronger than I don't really like. I don't like. And I dislike is the same level as I don't like. I don't like, I dislike are about the same. In the next lecture, we're going to look at some more language for describing likes and dislikes. In this lecture, we're going to look at how to talk about a strong like or a strong dislike of something. Now, here's a little cat. You can say, I like cats. But you can add something to this phrase. For example, if you like cats a little bit, you can say, I quite like cats. I quite like cats. But you only like them a little bit. So it's slightly weaker than I like cats. But if you like cats a lot, then you can say, I really like cats. I really like cats. So you might say things like, I quite like football. I really like pizza. I absolutely adore cats. And words like quite, really, absolutely are called intensifiers. They make the verb a bit stronger, although in the case of quite, it makes it a little bit weaker. Not very, by the way. We don't use very with verbs. So we don't say, I very like football. No, that's wrong. Not I very like football. Very only goes with adjectives. Very hot, very spicy. Something to remember is quite and really go with what I call normal verbs, such as like, whereas absolutely goes with very strong verbs. We call these extreme verbs. So we use absolutely with extreme verbs, very strong verbs like I detest, I hate, I loathe, I love, I'm crazy about, and I adore. So we would say in English, I really like, because like is a normal verb. It's not strong, it's not extreme. So that's okay. And I quite like, that's okay as well. But I absolutely like no, because like is a normal verb. It's not a strong, extreme verb. However, adore is a strong verb. It's an extreme verb. Has a strong meaning. So you can't say I really adore or I quite adore. You have to say I absolutely adore. So absolutely goes with the strong verbs. Really and quite goes with the normal verbs. So for example, I absolutely detest, I absolutely hate, I absolutely loathe, I absolutely love, crazy about, and adore. However, we don't often need to use absolutely because the verbs are already very strong. So you use absolutely if you want to add some more emphasis to the verb. So now go to the next lecture, and I've got a short lecture about some grammar which will help you when it comes for you to make your own script. In this lecture, we're going to look at some grammar, just very quickly. Now, in English, we can say, I love to read. That's okay. We can also say, I like to read. Or we can say, I don't like to read. Or, I really don't like to read. You can also say, I hate to read. This is just about okay. It sounds quite formal though. But what about this? I adore to read. No, you can't say this. You cannot say I adore to read. You must say instead, I adore reading. That is okay. I adore reading. Similarly, you can also say I love reading, I like reading, I hate reading. I hate reading sounds a bit more natural than I hate to read, but both are okay. To read and reading then, to read is an infinitive, what we call an infinitive. It's a verb, also known as the root form of the verb or the base form of the verb, whereas reading is a part of speech known as a gerund, which is actually a noun that comes from a verb, but it's treated as a noun. So for example, here's reading, I enjoy reading. You must say, I enjoy reading. I enjoy to read is incorrect. So you must say, I enjoy reading. And it's the same with lots of other verbs here as well. I'm partial to reading. I'm crazy about reading. I adore reading. So for all of these, you must use the gerund, the ing form. Reading, eating, walking, cycling. The only exceptions to that are I like, I hate, and I love. So for those three, you can say, I love reading, or I love to read, I like reading, or I like to read, I hate reading, or I hate to read. So remember this when it comes to your own talk. And now it is your turn to write a mini script. So go to the next lecture. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about our neighbourhood, the part of the town where we live. So where do you live? Do you live in the middle of a big city? Or do you live in a town somewhere? Or maybe you live in the suburbs of a town, the outside of a town. Or perhaps you live in a quiet village in the countryside. What are the good things about where you live? And what are the bad things about where you live? What annoys you? What makes you angry? And what things are important when you decide where to live? Maybe the parking is important. Maybe you want somewhere where you can park easily. Or maybe you want to live near a park in the centre of a city. This is Central Park in New York. Or maybe you want to live somewhere with great public transport, like here in Bangkok. Or maybe you like to live in a quiet neighbourhood with not much to do. Or maybe you prefer to live in a busy area with lots to do, but also with lots of people and noise, like here in Amsterdam. So what's your neighbourhood like? So in this section, we're going to talk about our neighbourhood. So go to the next lecture, and I'm going to tell you about my neighbourhood. In this video, I'm going to give a talk about my neighbourhood. And while you listen, here are some questions that you can think about. Would you like to live here? Would you like to live in my neighbourhood? And why? Or maybe why not? There is no right answer or wrong answer to this question. Just think about these questions as you listen. I live in a spacious one-bedroom flat in a lovely neighbourhood just outside the city centre. It's not far from the university, so a lot of students live here. Most people live in apartments. It's quite an old neighbourhood in the sense that most of the buildings are old, maybe from the 1920s and 1930s. The best thing about it is that there are lots of places to go. There are plenty of cafes, several restaurants, and a couple of bars nearby. There's even a small shopping mall about 10 minutes walk away. There's a lovely park near my apartment block. It's got a pond with some cute ducks. I love to hang out there and read. The public transport is really good too. I can catch a bus most times of the day. The worst thing about it? Well, it's quite a busy and noisy area. There's always heavy traffic, so there's lots of noise from cars and motorbikes, especially motorbikes, and lots of pollution too. There's also nowhere to park. On the whole, I love the neighbourhood, and I plan to stay here for a few more years. Then maybe I'll move somewhere quieter. So, what did you think? Would you like to live here? Maybe you said yes, because of the lovely neighbourhood, lots of places to go, public transport as well. But maybe you thought no, because it's busy and noisy, and there's pollution, and there's nowhere to park either. Go to the next lecture, where I've got a listening activity for you. So let's look at the language that I used in my talk about my neighborhood. So here's the language we're going to look at in yellow. So let's start with this one. A lovely neighborhood just outside the city centre. So the neighborhood is not in the city centre, but it's close to. It's just outside. It's very close to the centre. It's not far from the university. Not far from. So it's very close, usually within walking distance. So close, not far from. In the sense that. This is a phrase you use to explain something in more detail. So I said that the neighborhood was old, but I needed to explain more, so I had to say it was from the 1920s or the 1930s. The buildings were old, so not the people. And here's the language I used to describe the age of the neighborhood. From the 1920s and 1930s. So 1920s, 1930s. So you talk about decades. 1920s, 1930s, 1990s, 2010s. The best thing about it. So for the positive things about your neighborhood, the best thing about it. And the opposite is the worst thing about it. The things that make you angry. The worst thing about it. I also use some language for talking about the quantity of things in my neighborhood. So lots of, plenty of, several, a couple of. A couple of is just two. So here are two cats. A couple of cats. Several is similar to some. So it doesn't have any precise meaning. Several cats, maybe 4, 5, 6. Plenty of. If you have plenty of something, you have a lot of it, but in the sense that you have more than you need. And this is lots of. So lots of cats. 10 minutes walk away. So you can walk there. We say 10 minutes walk away if it takes 10 minutes to walk somewhere. And park. Park has two meanings. Here's one meaning of the word park. Somewhere where you go to sit or walk with your friends or on your own for some quiet. And you can also talk about a car park. You can also park your car. So there has two meanings of the word park. Apartment block. Apartment block. So it's lots of apartments. You find lots of apartments or flats in an apartment block. But in English, we don't say flat block. Okay, we don't say flat block. It's always apartment block. I love to hang out there. So these girls are hanging out. They're hanging out at the park. So you hang out with your friends. You spend time with them, maybe just chatting or walking. So you hang out. And catch a bus. So in English, we catch a bus. Not in the same way you catch a ball. You don't hold it, but when you go onto a bus, when you wait for the bus, you catch it. You catch a bus. Especially is used to emphasize something. So I said that the traffic is noisy, especially the motorbikes. One extra word I thought I'd put in, pollution. Pollution. So we get lots of traffic pollution from the cars. Here's some pollution from a factory. And on the whole. on the whole. It means in general. So when we talk about the whole idea of something, so when we're talking about our neighborhood in general, do we like it or not in general? So it introduces a summary. So on the whole, I like my neighborhood. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about our hobbies and our interests. Hobbies and interests are a great way to start a conversation in English. It also helps you find things in common with another person, so it's a great conversation topic. By the end of this section, you'll be able to speak confidently and naturally about your hobbies and interests in English. So what hobbies and interests do you have? Do you prefer things that you can do at home, like watching TV, playing computer games, cooking, or reading? Or do you like to play sports like football or basketball? Do you like to do yoga or Pilates? Or do you like to go swimming? Or maybe you like to do something more creative like taking photos, drawing pictures, or writing stories. Or maybe you like making things such as model aeroplanes. In the next video, I'm going to tell you all about my hobbies and interests. So I'm going to give a talk about my hobbies and my interests. And while you're listening, try to answer these two questions. So what hobbies do I have? And what's my main hobby? What's the most important, my biggest hobby? So which of these, this list here, which of these 8 things are my hobbies? I love making things. I guess I'm a very creative person, and I like doing things with my hands. I often build model aeroplanes, and then I paint them. There are model aeroplanes all over my house. I enjoy this hobby because I find it very relaxing. I'm also really into sport. Several evenings a week I play team games like football, volleyball, and basketball, and they're great fun, even though I'm not very good at them. I do these activities because they keep me fit, and they're a great way of meeting new people. I also collect coins. I've got hundreds of coins from all over the world. I collect them because they're interesting to look at. But I've now got so many that I've had to start selling them on eBay. My main passion, though, is photography. I love taking photos. In particular, I'm really keen on fashion and portrait photography. Once or twice a month, I go to a local photography club where a few photographers meet and we take photos of some models. I've been interested in photography since I was young, when my uncle bought me a camera for my birthday. I enjoy it because I get to use my creativity. So, did you get the answers? If you didn't, then listen to this video again. If you did get the answers, well, here they are. So what hobbies do I have? Collecting coins is one of them. Playing sports. Making models like model aeroplanes. Photography. But what's my main hobby? Well, my main hobby is photography. It's my main passion. So it's more than just a hobby, it's a passion. So now go to the next lecture for a listening activity. In this lecture, we're going to look at the language that I used in my talk. And we're going to look at language to describe activities, hobbies, and also how to describe feelings. I love making things. I love making things. I like doing things with my hands. I like doing things with my hands. So when you make things with your hands, you do things. I often build model aeroplanes. I often build model aeroplanes. And then I paint them. And then I paint them. I find it very relaxing. I find it very relaxing. I'm also really into sport. I'm also really into sport. So really into, you do an activity a lot and you enjoy it. I play team games. I play team games like American football, soccer, basketball. They're great fun. They're great fun, which means it's exciting, not funny. Fun and funny are different words. They keep me fit. They keep me fit. So you stay fit. I also collect coins. I also collect coins. You can also collect stamps or models. They're interesting to look at. They're interesting to look at. My main passion is. My main passion is. This is something you really love. Your biggest hobby, your greatest hobby. I love taking photos. I love taking photos. So we take photos. We don't make photos. Shoot photos is less common. You can do a photo shoot. We often don't shoot photos, we shoot videos. So we shoot videos and take photos. I'm really keen on. I'm really keen on. So you like it a lot. I go to a local photography club. I go to a local photography club. I've been interested in photography since I was young. I've been interested in photography since I was young. Note the verb I've been, so the present perfect, used with since. So there's some of the language from my talk. And if you go to the next lecture, you'll get some more language for describing hobbies and interests. Let's look at some more vocabulary for describing your hobbies and interests. Let's start off by looking at the difference between an interest and a hobby. So a hobby is something you spend time doing. So maybe you spend one evening a week doing a hobby, or maybe you do something every day on a hobby. An interest, well, maybe you don't spend time doing it. A passion, though, is much bigger than a hobby. It's something that you do a lot, maybe every single day. You absolutely love it. It's a passion. And sometimes a passion can take over your life and you do it 24 hours a day. And that's an obsession. An obsession. So let's look at some different language for describing activities. Now on the left you've got sports. On the right activities. So for sports, you can play basketball, play tennis, play golf. But when you do outdoor activities, it's go. You go hiking, you go cycling, you go climbing. So you play sports, but with activities, it's go. So you go hiking, and you go climbing, scuba diving, snorkeling, and some activities for the home: cooking, gardening, reading, and playing computer games. Some arts and crafts activities: drawing, painting, and doing embroidery. That's a hard word to say. And performing arts activities: acting, singing, dancing. Play an instrument. So you play the guitar, play the piano. And some keeping fit activities: yoga. And you go to the gym. Some hobbies for collecting things: you collect coins, collect stamps, collect toys, and you can collect toy cars. So that's some language for describing some more hobbies. Now go to the next lecture, where you can download the vocabulary record from the resources section. So let's go through the answers to the vocabulary activities. And there were 2 activities. In the first activity, you had to match the verbs on the left with the nouns and noun phrases on the right. So you take photos, you do things, you go to a club, interested in photography, build models, play team games, do photography, make things with my hands, do activities, meet new people, use my creativity, keep fit, and collect coins. And the second activity: what collocations are possible? Well, there's lots and lots of possible collocations. We're just going to look at the most common, most useful collocations to help you do the speaking at the end of this section, so you can make activities. Teachers, for example, make activities for children to complete. You can make toys, make friends. This is completely different meaning of make, though. When you make friends, you become friends with a person. You can do sport, do things, do photography, do activities, do team games, and do cooking. You can build models, build things, build toys, and similarly you can paint models, things, and toys. You can use things. You can use photos perhaps, use coins, and you can play sport, play team games. You keep fit. Keep also has a meaning of that's very similar to collect. So you could also, if you collect stamps, then you keep stamps. You can keep things, keep photos, keep coins, keep toys. You can meet new people, and you can meet friends. You can collect models, collect stamps, collect things, collect photos, collect coins, collect toys. And you can take things. Very general meaning though, take photos, of course. You can go to things, like an event, like a concert. Go to activities, go to a club, go to a gym. Interested in, you can be interested in anything. So I think all of the words could be here, but the most common ones, interested in stamps, in sport, in photography, in activities, coins. You can be interested in team games, and you can be interested in toys. And finally, cooking. In this lecture, we're going to very quickly look at some questions for asking about somebody's hobbies or interests. So here are some common questions that you can use. What do you like doing? What do you like doing? What hobbies do you have? What hobbies do you have? What kinds of hobbies do you have? What kinds of hobbies do you have? So the last two are very, very similar types of questions. You'll get the same kind of answer from people. What do you get up to in your free time? What do you get up to in your free time? What do you like doing in your free time? What do you like doing in your free time? Do you have any interesting hobbies? Do you have any interesting hobbies? What are you into? What are you into? So now it's your turn to use the language from the previous lectures to write your own mini script. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about our ambitions, our dreams, what we want for the future. What would you like to do in the future? What are your ambitions? What are your dreams? Would you like to go to university? Would you like to own a fast sports car or have a baby? Would you like to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games or make a lot of money? Or would you like to help other people? Or maybe one day run a marathon? In the next lecture, I'm going to tell you all about my ambitions. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about my ambitions. And while you listen, just check off this list. Which ambitions do I have? Do I want to become a football player? Write a novel? Become a TV star? Start my own business? Go to university? Do I want to visit the USA in the future? Buy a car? Have children? So which of these are my ambitions? It's always been my dream to become a famous writer. So one day soon, I'm going to start writing a novel. I've already got lots of great ideas for stories. I'd also like to learn Russian. I've been to Moscow and St. Petersburg already, but one day I want to take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia and visit some more of Russia. Another thing I'd like to do is start my own business. I really want to work for myself, maybe by selling clothes on the internet. I'm really into fashion, you see. I'd love to own a sports car, maybe an Aston Martin like James Bond. When I was young, I always wanted to be a spy. But my biggest ambition is to build a large house in the countryside, maybe in the mountains, a long way from the nearest town. It will be so peaceful there. It will be surrounded by fields, so that I can go horse riding. I'll also ask my friends to stay so they can enjoy the peace and quiet too. Oh, and I want to get married one day and have some children, and lots of cats too. So, what ambitions do I have? What ones did I talk about? Become a football player? No, I didn't mention that. Write a novel? Yes. Become a TV star? No. Start my own business? Yes, that was selling clothes on the internet. I didn't mention go to university or visit the USA, but buy a car? Yes. And have children? Yes. Go to the next lecture where there is a listening activity for you. In this lecture, we're going to look at the language that I used in my talk. Here's my talk that I've just read to you. So let's look at some of the language here. First of all, dream and ambition. They have a very similar meaning. An ambition is, of course, something you want to achieve in the future. A dream can be stronger than that. It's a kind of perfect or ideal vision for the future. Sometimes a dream is something that maybe you won't achieve, but you want to. There's also the word goal we often use to talk about the things we want to do in the future. Here's some more of the language that I used to describe my ambitions. I'd also like to. Another thing I'd like to. I really want to. I'd love to. So I used the words like, want, love for the things to do in the future. I want to one day. I want to do something one day. So one day means at some point in the future. I'm not sure when, but sometime in the future. And you can also switch the position. So one day I want to. One day I want to own a sports car. I always wanted to. I always wanted to. That means it was my ambition in the past. So when I was a child, I always wanted to be a spy. But it's not my ambition now. I don't want to be a spy now. If I still have the dream, still have the ambition, then we need to say, I've always wanted to. So I've always wanted to. It was my ambition in the past, and it is today as well. It's my ambition now. Two more pieces of language I used. It's always been my dream to. It's always been my dream to. And my biggest ambition is to. My biggest ambition is to. I also used lots of language for the things I want to do in the future. So, become a famous writer. Become a famous writer. Learn Russian. Learn Russian. Start my own business. Start my own business. Work for myself. Work for myself. Own a sports car. Own a sports car. So that means I have paid for it. It's mine. Be a spy. Be a spy. Build a large house. Build a large house. Get married. Get married. Have some children. Have some children. And you can also say simply have children. Have children. Now in the next lecture, I'm going to give you some more language for describing the things you want to do in the future. In this lecture, I'm going to give you some more language for talking about the things you want to do in the future. In my talk, I use this language, and the words on the left in yellow are the verbs that I used. So, become, be, learn, start, work, own, build, get, have. What else can you do with these verbs? After this lecture, there's going to be an activity for looking at the verbs that you can use, so listen very carefully. So you can say become a doctor. Become a doctor. Become rich. Become rich. Become famous. Become famous. And buy. Buy a car. Buy a house. Buy a condo. A condo is a type of apartment, usually quite an expensive apartment. You can also own a car, own a house, and own a condo. So buy is the process where you get the property. Own is when you keep it. It belongs to you. You can earn a lot of money. Earn a lot of money. And go. Go to China. Go to China. Go around the world. Go around the world. Go to university. Go to university. Have. Have children. Have children. Have a great idea. Have a great idea. And learn. You can learn a language, learn Thai. Learn Thai. Or you can learn a skill. So you learn to drive. Learn to drive. Make is also a useful word. Make a lot of money. Make a lot of money. Make a movie. Make a movie. Make a website. Make a website. For website, we also use the verb design. Design a website. Write a novel. Write a novel. So, how many of these did you remember? In the next activity, you've got a worksheet you can use and an activity to help you remember these words. Let's look at the answers to the vocabulary activity from the worksheet there. So this is what you had to do. You had to match the verbs with the nouns and noun phrases. So for children, it's have. Have children, have an interesting job, have a great idea. Become famous, become rich, become a doctor. Write a book, write a novel, write a computer program. Buy a car, buy a flat, buy a house. Earn a lot of money. Earn $1,000 a month, earn $1 million. Learn how to drive, learn Russian, learn the piano. Go to university, go to France, go around the world. Make a movie, make a lot of money, make $1 million. Get married, get a job, get a degree. Now it's your turn. You've got to try and use this language to create a talk about somebody else. And you can also use that language for your own talk at the end of this section. In this section of the course, you're going to talk about your past, your life story. So, when were you born? Where were you born? Where did you go to school? Did you enjoy school? What were your favourite school subjects? Did you do any sports as a child? What was your first job? Have you been to university? If you have, where did you go? Did you have any pets in the past? In the next lecture, I'm going to tell you all about my life story. In this lecture, I'm going to tell you all about my life story. And while you are listening to my talk, think about this question. What topics do I talk about? Do I talk about marriage, jobs, sport, music, books, school, food, or travel? I was born in 1968 in a place called Swindon, which is a town in the south of England. I was the youngest of 3 sons. I spent most of my childhood in the north of England. I was really happy at school. English and history were my favourite subjects. When I was about 8 years old, I became interested in football. My granddad took me to my first football match. I played football for the school football team. I left school when I was 18. After leaving school, I had several jobs. I worked as a postman and also in an office. Then I went to university. I studied history at university and I graduated in 1994. After graduating, I became a school teacher. First of all, I taught at a school in England. After that, I taught in some international schools around the world, including schools in Kenya, Hungary, and Russia. I loved teaching kids, although it was hard work. I lived for 3 years in Moscow, and after that I moved to Thailand. I got a job with the British Council and taught English. Last year I moved back to England and I now teach at a university there. So what topics did I talk about? Well, I talked about jobs, that I worked as a postman in an office, as a teacher. I talked about sport. I talked about how I played for the school football team. And I also talked about school. Also, I talked about travel because I've travelled to lots of different countries around the world. If you go to the next lecture, you can listen to my talk again, and you can complete a listening activity as well. In this lecture, we're going to look at the language I used in my talk. We're going to do a language analysis, and here is my talk, and here is some of the language that I'm going to look at now. Starting with this one. When I was about 8 years old. When I was about 8 years old. When I was 18. When I was 18. After leaving school. After leaving school. After graduating. After graduating. After that, I taught in. After that, I taught in. After that, I moved to Thailand. After that, I moved to Thailand. Then I went to university. Then I went to university. First of all, I taught at a school in England. First of all, I taught at a school in England. I lived for 3 years in Moscow. I lived for 3 years in Moscow. Last year, I moved back to England. Last year, I moved back to England. I spent most of my childhood in. I spent most of my childhood in. And I now teach at a university. I now teach at a university. So here are the time expressions that I used in my talk. When, then, after, after that, first of all, for 3 years, last year, most of my childhood, now. Let's go back to the talk, and now what I'm going to show you is some of the past simple verbs that I used in my talk. So I used the past simple when I talked about these events because they're all finished. They happened in the past, but they are now finished. So you can see all of the past simple verbs in yellow there. Let's have a look at them all. Was born, was, spent, became interested in, took, played, left, had, worked, worked, went, studied, studied, graduated, became, taught, loved, lived. Let me say those two again. Listen to the difference. Loved, lived, loved, lived. moved, got. Now in the next lecture, you can do an activity about these past tense verbs so that you can use them too. So the first activity is simply to write the past simple form of these verbs, and then I've got some sentences for you to complete using, you have to use the past simple of the verbs that are in the box. So go to the next lecture now, and you can do that activity. In this lecture, we're going to go through the answers to the vocabulary activity. And here was the first exercise. So these are the root forms of the different verbs, and the past simple, or the past simple of be is was. Then you've got spent for spend, become is became, take is took, play is played, leave is left, left, have is had, work, worked, go is went, study is studied. Look at the spelling though, the Y changes into an I. Graduate is graduated. Teach is taught, not teached. It's an irregular past simple, taught. Love is loved. Like is liked. Move is moved. Get is got in the past simple. And activity 2, you had to complete these sentences. So A, I graduated from the University of Warsaw last year. When I was 17 years old, I became a postman. C is I spent most of my childhood in Hanoi. I played football at school. I was the youngest of 3 children. I had 1 brother and 1 sister. I left school when I was 16. When I was 6, we moved to Madrid because my father got a job there. I loved school. I enjoyed all the subjects and had lots of friends. At university, I studied science, and finally, I got a degree in engineering from Harvard University. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to do some language using these words. So first of all, what you can do is you can download the vocabulary record from the resources section, and you can make some of your own sentences. You can also create a mini script using these words, so you can download the Create a Miniscript PDF from the resources section as well. Here's a copy of it, so you can download that next. And finally, you can do the assignment at the end of this section. So there you go. Now it's your turn to talk about your life story. In this section of the course, we're going to talk about clothes. What are you wearing now? I wonder. I'm wearing a pair of trousers and a sweater. What were the last clothes you bought? What's the first thing you put on in the morning after you wake up? What's your favourite clothes store? Your favourite clothes shop? How often do you wear a suit? What do you usually wear to work, or to school, or university? What kind of shoes do you wear? What kind of underwear do you wear? In the next lecture, I'm going to give you a series of talks about things people wear, and I've got some questions for you to answer. So go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, I'm going to describe the clothes worn by 4 different people. You need to listen carefully, and for each description, ask yourself, what kind of person wears these clothes? In other words, who am I talking about? What is their job or occupation? Here is the first person. I usually wear a suit, shirt and tie to work, along with a pair of smart black shoes. When I am outside, I also wear an overcoat. At home, I wear an old pair of trousers and a polo shirt. So what kind of person was that? It was a businessman. I have to wear a uniform every day. It's a short skirt, shirt and tie, and I also wear a blazer. I have to wear smart shoes and white socks. They need to be up to my knees. Or I can wear tights. At the weekend, I can wear what I want, so I often wear shorts and a top. So what kind of person was that? It was a schoolgirl. I can wear what I want to work, so I usually wear a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. I also have to wear a hard hat when I'm working, and sometimes a bright yellow jacket. When I get home, I'm usually so tired that I put on some pajamas and go to bed. So what kind of person was that? That was a builder or a construction worker. I wear lots of different things. I often wear dresses or jeans with a nice blouse and some high heels. Sometimes I dress in a bikini or a swimsuit, and occasionally it's just underwear. It depends what the photographer wants. So what kind of person was that? It was a model, a fashion model for a photographer. So how well did you do there? Did you get them all right? In the next lecture, you can listen to my talks again, and you can complete a listening activity about it. So now let's look at the language that I used in my 4 talks. Here was the first talk about the man who wears a suit, shirt and tie. And here is the language that I used to describe the items of clothing. So you have suit, shirt, tie, shoes, overcoat, trousers, polo shirt. So let's look at these items of clothing. So here's the suit, shirt, tie, shoes, and we normally say a pair of shoes because you normally have 2 of them, of course. Overcoat, overcoat. An overcoat is usually thick and warm. It goes over your other clothes. Trousers. Trousers. Polo shirt. Polo shirt. A polo shirt is similar to a t-shirt, but it has a collar at the top. It's a little bit smarter, a little bit more stylish than a t-shirt. And here's the second talk. The school uniform worn by a schoolgirl, and the language I used here: uniform, skirt, shirt, tie, blazer, shoes, socks, tights, shorts, top. So here's a uniform. This is a school uniform, but there are lots of different types of uniforms, such as an army uniform. Skirt, skirt, blazer, blazer. A blazer is a type of jacket, often worn as part of a school uniform, but it can also be worn as a smart jacket. So men can wear blazers too. So they're very smart. Sometimes they're called sports jackets as well. Socks. Socks. Normally we talk about a pair of socks. Similarly, a pair of tights. Tights, which are worn by women and go from the waist all the way down to the feet. Shorts. Shorts. And like a pair of trousers, we talk about a pair of shorts. A top. Top. This is a very general term for something worn above the waist. Usually it refers to women's clothing, but also for men's. And here's the third talk, the builder. And in that talk I used t-shirt, sweater, a pair of jeans, hat, jacket, pyjamas. So here's t-shirt, t-shirt, sweater, sweater. It's something you wear above the waist to keep you warm. You could also use the word jumper or pullover or sweatshirt. They all mean pretty much the same thing. Jeans. Jeans. And we talk about a pair of jeans. Hat. Hat. Jacket. Jacket. Pyjamas. Pyjamas. Pyjamas are worn in bed, or just before and just after you go to bed, sometimes for longer, depending on how lazy you are. If you don't want to get dressed, then some people wear pyjamas until lunchtime. They're loose-fitting clothes, usually made of cotton, and in American English, the spelling is slightly different, but the pronunciation is the same: pyjamas. And here's the fourth talk about the model. And I use the words dresses, jeans, blouse, high heels, bikini, swimsuit, underwear. So here's the word dress, dress, blouse, blouse. A blouse is it's like a shirt, but it's usually fairly loose fitting, kind of bigger than a shirt. High heels, high heels. Bikini, bikini. So a bikini, there are two parts to it. And a swimsuit. swimsuit, which is one piece. Underwear, underwear, which is clothing that you wear under your other clothes, of course. And in the next lecture, we're going to look at some more vocabulary. So go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, you're going to learn some more words connected with shoes, coats, tops, and underwear. Let's start with shoes and high heels. We looked at in a previous lecture, high heels, worn by women, of course. Boots, boots, worn by both women and men. They're usually quite heavy, quite warm shoes. Trainers, trainers, often used for doing sports, when you go running, for example. Sandals, sandals, very nice for wearing on the beach, as are flip-flops. Flip-flops. Flip-flops are similar to sandals, but they usually stay on your feet with just a small strap which goes between the toes. Slippers. Slippers. These are usually worn indoors, in the house, in cold countries like England, to keep your feet warm. Let's go on to coats. An overcoat was in one of the listening recordings. Overcoat. Jacket. Jacket. Jacket is a very general term. There are lots of different styles of jacket. They can be quite casual, they can be quite smart, and both men and women wear jackets. And the jackets can be smart, like a suit jacket on the left and a sports jacket on the right, or a ski jacket. And if you want a very, very smart jacket, you can wear a dinner jacket. And in American English, they call this a tuxedo. Tuxedo, or simply tux. And another type of coat commonly worn in England, again, is a raincoat. Raincoat. Let's go on to tops. Different types of top that you wear above your waist, so a pullover. That keeps you warm, goes over the top of your clothes, also known as a sweater or a sweatshirt. And similarly, a jumper. Jumper. In British English. In American English, a jumper is clothing actually worn by a young child. But in British English, it's like a pullover sweater. Cardigan. Cardigan. A cardigan is a top with buttons. It buttons up, so it has an open front, and it's worn by both men and women. And in recent years, the fleece. Fleece has become popular. It's a top made from a soft, very warm material, very good for wearing outdoors in cold countries. And a hoodie. Hoodie is a type of top with a hood that goes over your head. It's very popular with teenagers. T-shirt. T-shirt and polo shirt. Polo shirt. So a polo shirt has a collar. It's smarter than a t-shirt. Singlet. Singlet is a sleeveless shirt. A shirt with no sleeves, often worn by men going to the gym to show off their muscles. And finally, very important, let's look at underwear. The clothes you wear under your normal clothes, such as a vest. Vest. This is similar to a singlet, except it's underwear. It's worn under the clothing, under a shirt, usually by men. This is British English. In American English, a vest is something you wear on a smart occasion. It's a waistcoat. It's worn with a suit. But in British English, it's underwear. Also worn by men and women, briefs. Briefs. And for men, often called underpants. Underpants. So briefs or underpants. And for women, also briefs, but they often call them panties. And a slightly more old-fashioned word, knickers. Knickers. And socks. Socks. Worn on your feet. Leggings. Leggings are like socks, but they cover your leg, not your feet. Usually not your feet. They're usually thick and warm, normally worn by women, sometimes by men. And tights. Tights. These are similar to leggings, but much thinner, often less colourful, only worn by women. They cover the feet and the legs all the way up to the waist. And a more fashionable type of underwear, stockings. Stockings. So they're similar to tights, but they just go up to the thighs above the knee. And they're often designed to look more attractive than tights. So that's some extra language for clothes. In the next lecture, I've got a vocabulary activity to help you remember all of these clothing words. So go to the next lecture now. So let's go through the answers to the vocabulary activity. So I asked you to think about where you wear clothes. Was it on your head, on your body, on your legs, or on your feet? So on your head, you should have hat and baseball cap. And that's it. On your body, I guess it depends where you define your body, but this is what I put down for on your body: suit, shirt, underpants, tie, overcoat, polo shirt, singlet, swimsuit, t-shirt, sweater, panties, pyjamas, dress, hoodie, bikini, jumper, fleece, and briefs. On your legs: jeans, stockings, trousers, skirt, tights, shorts, leggings. Some of those are on your feet as well. Tights you wear on your feet as well. And just on your feet: shoes, boots, flip-flops, socks, trainers, high heels, and slippers. Hope you did well on that. In the next lecture, we're going to look at some pronunciation. I have a pronunciation activity for you to do. So go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, we're going to do a little pronunciation activity, just a short pronunciation activity together. Here are two words for clothes: dress and sweater. They have the same vowel sound. You can see that in yellow. Dress, and sweater, They both have the sound. Dress, sweater. The vowel sound is the same, but here they're actually spelt differently. Okay? Now here is an activity for you. I'm going to read out 12 words connected with clothing. Which pairs of words have the same vowel sound? Here are the 12 words: belt, belt, blouse, scarf, trousers, shirt, skirt, suit, coat, clothes, sweater, pyjamas, and shoes. So let's do this together. What word goes with belt? Belt, the eh sound. It is sweater. Sweater, belt, sweater. Both have the eh vowel sound. What goes with blouse? Blouse. Ow. Ow. It is trousers. Trousers, the ow sound. What goes with scarf? Scarf. Scar. It's pyjamas. Pyjamas. Scarf. Pyjamas. And shirt. Shirt. It's skirt. Skirt. That's an easy one. Next one is coat. Coat. Co-o-o. It's clothes. Clothes. O. And the last one, suit. Oo goes with, of course, shoes. Oo vowel sound. In the next lecture, I'm going to give you some more vocabulary for clothes. This time it's some verbs for wearing, taking off, taking on, putting on, and so on. In this lecture, I've got some more vocabulary for you. This time we're going to look at some verbs for clothing. Wear, to wear, first of all, is a very general term. So you might wear a suit to work every day. Right now, I am wearing a sweater and a pair of jeans. But if you're moving your clothes on or off, there's quite a few different verbs we can use. So we can talk about get dressed. So to get dressed means you put on some clothes. So for example, after having a shower or a bath, you get dressed. And the opposite is get undressed. So before you have a bath or a shower, you get undressed, you take off your clothes. You can put on clothes. So in the cartoon, he's putting on a sweater. So for individual items of clothing, put on, and the opposite is take off. So put on and take off. So he's taking off his sweater. Strip means to take off everything, to get undressed, but it's often done with music. You might be a dancer who takes their clothes off. Strip. Dress someone. If you are putting clothes on somebody else, so for example a child, you dress them. So you dress your child. And the opposite is undress, so you undress someone. So if you're taking clothes off someone else, you use this verb. Here are some more useful verbs for clothing. Zip, to zip and zip up. And the opposite is unzip. So you zip up your jeans and you unzip your jeans. Dress up. If you dress up, there can be two meanings for this verb. First of all, it means you wear your best clothes. So in this picture there is a wedding, so both people they have dressed up in their best clothes. But it can also mean you wear fancy dress. For example, cosplay. So you put on special costumes, you dress up. Another useful verb is try on, to try on. This means you wear something briefly just to see if it fits properly. So for example, shoes in a shop. You should always try on shoes before you buy them. You make sure they fit comfortably. So that's some extra vocabulary for you. In the next lecture, read the article and there are some activities for you to try to see how much of this language you can remember. In this section of the course, we're going to describe people's appearance. So how would you describe your appearance? Is your hair long or short? Or is it medium length? Are you short or tall? Are you well built or are you fat? Do you like your appearance? Why or why not? What does your best friend look like? Do you look like anyone famous? In the next lecture, I'm going to give you some talks about the appearance of different people and you have some questions to answer, so go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, I'm going to give you some talks, 6 different talks about the appearance of different people. And while you listen, you've got to work out which of these people am I talking about. So who am I talking about here? This is listening number 1. She's got long, dark hair, which is straight. She looks quite slim, and she's young, maybe in her early 30s. She's got light brown skin. I think she's from the Middle East. Okay, so who is she? Play it again if you're not sure. Let me just reveal who I was talking about. There she is. Long dark hair, straight, slim, young, maybe from the Middle East. Here's the second description. So again, who am I talking about? She's got medium length, dark, wavy hair. She's a little overweight, but not obese, and I'd say she is around medium height. She's white, but she seems to have a bit of a suntan. I think she's in her late 20s. So who do you think that is? Again, if you're not sure, play it again. Here's who it was. I was talking about her. Medium length, dark, wavy hair, a little overweight, white, a bit of a suntan. Here's the third one. She's got long, wavy hair, and she's wearing glasses. She looks quite slim. Her hair is blonde, and she's fair-skinned. She's quite tall, and I'd guess she's from Northern Europe. So who was I talking about? There she is. Long wavy hair, wearing glasses, quite slim, blonde, fair-skinned. Let's do 3 talks with men. So again, who am I talking about this time? He's quite a young man and he's wearing glasses. He looks quite well built and he has a bald head. He's got dark skin. I think he's from America. So who do you think that one is? Play it again if you're not sure. That's him. Young man wearing glasses, well built, bald head, dark skin. And the next one? This man has a beard and he looks quite relaxed. His hair is quite long and he looks quite old because his hair is grey. He's also wearing sunglasses. So who's that? There he is. Beard, relaxed. His hair is quite long, quite old. Hair is grey. He's wearing sunglasses. And the last one. Who is this? I think this man is in his 30s. He's got thick, dark hair, and he has a moustache, but he hasn't got a beard. He's also dark-skinned. So who is he? Play it again if you're not sure. It is this gentleman. In his 30s, thick, dark hair, moustache, hasn't got a beard, dark-skinned. So in the next lecture, you can listen to my talk again, and you can complete a listening activity about it. So go to the next lecture now and download the activity. In this lecture, we're going to look at the language that I used in my 6 different talks. So let's look at the language that I used. This was the first person I described. And this is the language I used to describe her appearance. So long dark hair, straight, slim, young, light brown skin. And then the second person that I described, medium length, dark wavy hair, overweight, not obese, medium height, white. And then the third person I described, I used this language here. Long wavy hair, glasses, slim, blonde, fair-skinned, tall. And then the fourth person I described, I used this language. Young, glasses, well-built, bold, dark skin. And then the fifth person, I used this language. Beard, long for the hair, old, grey, sunglasses. And then, in the last person, I used this language. Thick, dark hair, moustache, beard, dark-skinned. So that's the language I used in my talks. In the next lecture, we're going to look at that language and some other language for describing people's appearance. So go to the next lecture now and let's learn a lot of vocabulary. In this lecture, we're going to look at lots of vocabulary for describing people's appearance. And we're going to look at hair, including facial hair, how to describe the body, skin, and age. So let's start off with how to describe people's hair. And first of all, hairstyles we're going to look at. So we can talk about straight hair. She's got straight hair. Wavy hair. Wavy hair. Curly hair. Curly hair. Shaved head. So this man has a shaved head. But this man has a bald head. A bald head. The difference between shaved head and bald head is a man takes a razor and cuts all his hair off his head. He has to shave his hair off. If you have a bald head, then you're getting old. All your hair has fallen out. Some more hairstyles, often worn by girls: pigtails, and a ponytail. Ponytail. Let's look at hair colour next. And on the left, you've got dark hair. In the middle, red hair. And fair hair or brown hair on the right. blonde, also known as fair hair as well, blonde hair. Ginger, sometimes this is called red as well. Ginger hair. Grey hair. And hair length. You can have long hair. Medium length hair. Medium length hair. And short hair. Short hair. Let's look at facial hair for men. Beard. Beard. Moustache. Moustache. And if you don't have any facial hair, like the man here, you are clean shaven. Clean shaven. If you have a little bit of hair, like this, you have stubble. Stubble. And this man has a beard, but it's a special type of beard called a goatee. Goatee. How can we describe people's bodies? Well, we can describe it in terms of their weight and shape. So you have a normal shape. But if you're thin, you can be skinny, thin, underweight. If you're very thin, if you don't have a lot of weight on you, you're underweight. Thin, skinny. 3 different ways of describing when you're under the normal shape. And if you're more than normal, you're overweight. Overweight is quite a general term. You can also be described as fat. And if you are very, very overweight, then you are obese. Obese. But overweight is a kind of just a general term for describing yourself here. Here's another one for obese. If you eat lots of burgers, lots of chips, you're obese. If you're just slightly overweight, then you can be described as plump. Plump. And that's quite a nice way of describing somebody who's overweight. Fat is quite rude, but plump is kind of okay. You're a little bit plump. This is a more normal kind of body shape, so she's slim. And you can also use the word slender. Slender is a word that kind of emphasizes the shape of the body, a smooth shape to the body. Slender. Muscular. So she is very muscular, has lots of muscles. And athletic. Athletic. Athletic people are often slim or slender as well. You can also describe the body shape by the height. So tall, short, and something in between. You can describe the person as medium height. Medium height. Let's look at skin now. So we often describe skin by its colour. So black, or dark-skinned, or brown, brown-skinned, white, or fair-skinned. Another useful word you might find is freckles. Freckles. Children often have freckles. You can often describe people, of course, by their age, young, middle-aged, middle-aged, and this man is old. You can also use the word elderly. An elderly person is quite a nice way of describing somebody who's old. It's a more polite way of describing somebody who's old. Go to the next lecture where there is an activity to help you remember all of these words for describing people. So go to the next lecture now. So let's have a look at the answers to the vocabulary activity. These are the words that you can use to describe hair: blonde, ginger, long, medium length. And to describe facial hair, beard, clean shaven, moustache, stubble. For the body, athletic, skinny, obese, well-built. And for skin, dark-skinned, freckled, mole, wrinkled. And for age, elderly, mid-20s, middle-aged, young. So now it's your turn. In the next lecture, I'll go through some of the activities that you can do to help you describe people's appearance. In this section of the course, you're going to learn some great language for introducing yourself to strangers, to people you don't know. What questions do you answer when you introduce yourself to strangers? Have a go at answering these questions in your head. So, what's your name? How old are you? Where are you from? What do you do? Are you married? Do you have a family? Or are you single? What do you like to do in your free time? In the next lecture, I'm going to introduce myself to you. So go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, I'm going to introduce myself to you. And during my talk, I'm going to talk about 8 different topics. So I'm going to talk about my family, my free time, my name, education, nationality, age, the places I've lived, and my job. So while you listen to my talk, which topic am I talking about? Okay? So let's listen to my talk now. Well, my name's Charles Cornelius, or Charlie for short. I'm 50 years old. I'm from England. Basically, I grew up in Harrogate, which is a town in the north of England, but I now live in Thailand. And in fact, I used to live in Moscow. I'm an English language teacher. I make English language courses on Udemy, and I also teach online. I have a degree in history and classics, and also a master's degree in education. I'm actually single, and I don't have any children. I have 2 brothers. One lives in the USA. He works as a website designer. My other brother lives in England. He runs a cafe. They're both older than me. My father died a few years ago, and my mother is retired. She's 80 years old. So in my free time, I like to read and watch movies. I also like to go cycling and hiking in the countryside, and I love going to the gym. Okay, I guess that's everything. So how much of that did you follow? How many topics did you identify? It's probably a good idea to listen to the video again and try to match the topics with the different parts of my talk. But if you've got the answers, well, here they are. Let's look at the video again and I'll show you the answers. Well, my name's Charles Cornelius, or Charlie for short. I'm 50 years old. I'm from England. Basically, I grew up in Harrogate, which is a town in the north of England, but I now live in Thailand. And in fact, I used to live in Moscow. I'm an English language teacher. I make English language courses on Udemy, and I also teach online. I have a degree in history and classics and also a master's degree in education. I'm actually single and I don't have any children. I have 2 brothers. One lives in the USA. He works as a website designer. My other brother lives in England. He runs a cafe. They're both older than me. My father died a few years ago, and my mother is retired. She's 80 years old. So, in my free time, I like to read and watch movies. I also like to go cycling and hiking in the countryside, and I love going to the gym. Okay, I guess that's everything. I hope you got those answers correct. In the next lecture, you can listen to my talk again, and I've also got a listening activity for you to do. So go to the next activity now. In this lecture, we're going to look at some filler language, which is language that helps you sound more natural when you speak English. So, for example, in this part of my talk, I use the words well, for short, basically, in fact. Let's look at those words now. Well is a useful word to give you extra time to think. So you could say, well, my name's... So you have extra thinking time. For short, add some information about your name. So if you have a shorter version of your name, you can add in short when you introduce yourself. So if your name is Svetlana, you can say, my name's Svetlana, or Sveta for short. Basically and in fact are used to emphasize factual information, and they also give you some more time to think when you're speaking, which is very important. Tells the listener that you're about to give some facts about yourself. Later on in my talk, I use the word also, which tells the listener I'm about to add some extra information about myself, and again it makes you sound more natural when you speak. Later on I use the word actually. Now here you'll notice there is only one filler word. You shouldn't use too many filler words. If you use too many filler words, it sounds quite unnatural. So I could have said, I'm actually single and I don't have any children. I basically have 2 brothers. In fact, one lives in the USA. Basically, that sounds very unnatural because I've used too many filler words. So don't use too many. So the word actually here is used to emphasize a fact, but it's a fact that is maybe slightly unusual or surprising. Let me give you a better example. This is a picture of the town Liverpool. Now, what football team do you think people in Liverpool support? Well, of course, it's Liverpool, but you might support a different team. So, for example, I live in Liverpool, but I actually support Manchester United. I don't, by the way, but that would be a surprising fact because people in Liverpool don't normally support Manchester United. So actually it can be used to talk about that surprising fact. In the last part of my talk, I used the word so, I used also again, I used okay, and the phrase I guess that's everything. So is similar to well. It links information, it introduces some new information, but it gives you some thinking time. So you could say, so in my free time, so you have that extra thinking time. Okay, you have that thinking time, and then you have the phrase, I guess that's everything, which is a nice natural way to finish a talk. If I simply finished my talk with, I love going to the gym, it sounds a very sudden way to finish. So this phrase is a nice way to end. A lot of English language learners I've taught often use the phrase, "that's all." So they might say, "I love going to the gym, that's all." That sounds quite unnatural. It's a very sudden ending to a talk, and native speakers don't normally use that phrase. So I guess that's everything. Sounds a lot more natural. So let's recap some of that filler language. So, well, okay, actually, basically, in fact, and also is a good way if you're listing information, giving extra additional facts. In the next lecture, you can learn the kinds of questions you need to ask when you want other people to introduce themselves to you. So I've got some questions there that we're going to look at, followed by an activity. So go to the next lecture now. In this lecture, we're going to look at the kinds of questions you can ask other people so that they can introduce themselves to you. Now, these are the kinds of topics that people ask each other when they first meet and when they introduce themselves to other people. So we're going to look at the kinds of questions you need to ask to get information about these topics from other people. You probably know a lot of these questions already, but I'm going to try and say them in a very natural way and in a way that sounds like I'm interested. So try to repeat these questions after me so that you sound interested and so that you sound natural. What's your name? What's your name? How old are you? How old are you? Where are you from? Where are you from? Where do you live? Where do you live? What's your job? What's your job? What are you studying at university? What are you studying at university? This is if they're at university now, but if they finish university, you need to use the past simple tense. What did you study at university? What did you study at university? Are you married? Are you married? What do your parents do? What do your parents do? Do you have any children? Do you have any children? What do you do in your free time? What do you do in your free time? Now, in the next lecture, I have an activity for you. This will help you learn these question forms, and you've also got to try and match the questions to some answers. So go to the next lecture where you can download this vocabulary activity.